position by the looks of it. And then the front row lineup completed by number 9, Ron Haslam. And the grid now being cleared, so they're coming under order. 13 laps will be the race distance. And they slither and slide away with a wheelie from Roberts. And it was Kenny Roberts, the race leader, from Ron Haslam as they go down Paddock Hill, followed by Graham Wood. Then it's Mark Sowell, Roger Marshall, Eddie Lawson, then Barry Sheen, Wes Cooley. And at Druids, the first to show is Kenny Roberts from Ron Haslam, with Graham Wood third. They come down and the wide line taken to dodge the water there by Kenny Roberts, and Graham Wood braves through on the inside there. But as they go along the Cooper Straight for this the first time, it's Kenny Roberts from Ron Haslam, Graham Wood third, fourth is Marshall, fifth is Sowell, sixth is Lawson, seventh is Sheen, eighth is Mamola, ninth is Cooley, then was Keith Ewan, and the last man through was Dave O'Donnell.
Well, it's Kenny going for the victory, 2 thirds, 2 seconds, and a 7th his tally so far, and it's Kenny Roberts from Ron Haslam, Graham Wood, Roger Marshall, Eddie Lawson, Mark Sell, behind Mark Sell, Barry Sheen, behind Barry Sheen, number 6, Randy Mamola, and then Wes Cooley, then it's Keith Ewan, behind Keith Ewan, number 40, Dave Aldana. So they're all through Westfield for this, the first of the final 13 laps in the 1983 Marlborough Transatlantic Trophy, and it's King Kenny leading.
Well, Kenny yet to have a win this year in the series, but the man with the greatest number of wins in the series. Marshall third, Woody fourth, fifth is Lawson, sixth is Sowell, seventh is Mamola, eighth is Sheen, ninth is Cooley. In 10th place is Keith Ewan, and in 11th place Dave Aldana. Well, Ron Haslam came out of Clark Curve, took the lead from Kenny Roberts as they came onto Brabham Straight, and leads in fact as they come around Druids, cameras flashing in that area, getting the action shots, and they both take a wide line as they come round Druids there. Kenny Roberts following Ron Haslam's racing line. So it's, as they go into left-hander surtees, it's Ron Haslam from Kenny Roberts, Marshall third, Wood fourth, fifth is Lawson, sixth Sell, seventh Sheen, eighth is Mamola, and I think Sheen got ahead there. Then it was Wes Cooley, and then Dave Aldana. Oh, Keith Ewan rather, then Dave Aldana.
So the Rocket looking for his 4th win of the 1983 series. And is it the White Tornado? Yes, it is. Number 9 Haslam, 2 Roberts, 11 Roger Marshall, 18 Graham Wood. Graham Wood having a much better ride this time. He's in 4th position, looking very, very secure there. In 5th position, number 21 Eddie Lawson. Then Mark Sell, Barry Sheen, Randy Mamola. Randy didn't get quite such a good start this time, so he's right on the tail of Bazza. Then the 4-stroke, the distinctive 4-stroke of Wes Cooley. Keith Ewan not looking particularly happy, and he'll be the non-scoring Brit if they remain in these positions, because he is the 6th of the Brits at the moment, and there is Dave Aldana.
And the 2 Marlborough Pits pilots have joined us. They're on the front straight, enjoying the racing on Kenny Roberts in second place, challenged now by Roger Marshall. Getting Graham Wood fourth, fifth is Lawson, sixth is Sowell, seventh is number 7 Barry Sheen, but he loses it to Randy Mamola. Mamola sneaks past on the Brabham Straight. Then we get Cooley through, and Aldana, then Keith Ewan to come, and Dave Aldana. But up at the Druids turn, it's Ron Haslam still from Kenny Roberts, Marshall and Graham Wood. Then it's Eddie Lawson, and they come down on a variety of lines around that bottom bend there, with Ron Haslam still leading the way from Roberts, Marshall third, Woody fourth, fourth is Lawson, and Mark Sowell nearly lost it then. Then it's Mamola from Sheen, Mark Sal goes to a wild slide there on the Cooper Straight, but was cranked well over and turned on just a bit too much power for the grip that was available.
Well, the noise builds, eyes. Well, we've had a fair sprinkling of spectators out here during the afternoon, but they're getting a bit thin on the ground now, but they look with interest, because 4 riders as one. Haslam, Roberts, Marshall and Graham Wood, 3 Brits and the Yank are in there, the 3 Limers and the Yankee, Ken Roberts the captain. Ed Lawson is a lonely 5th place, but he cannot afford to ease the pace too much because Mark Sell is the rider that's closing in on him. And Mark Sell in turn is being closed upon ever rapidly by Randy Mamola, who has caught and passed Barry Sheen. It is then the Kawasaki of Wes Cooley. So again, Eddie, I fancy that the quick man we're going to keep our eyes on it will be number 6, Randy Mamola.
Yes, well, obviously making amends. He was obviously very sorry to lose the chance of that plan in this one. Faded when Mamola prevailed. Kento was away. And the Marshall comes through to get past Roberts. It's Haslam leading, and neck go Kenny Roberts and Marshall towards the right-handed drop down Paddock Hill. And yes, Roger Marshall goes ahead of Kenny Roberts, and Graham Wood sees too his opportunity. Does he move up the inside or not? We shall see when they show. It's Ron Haslam shows first from Roger Marshall, then Kenny Roberts and Graham Wood. That's the foursome up front. And then the trio behind, featuring Eddie Lawson. He's the leader of that trio, taking the wide line down the bench. And on the tight line comes Mark Sal, followed by Randy Mamola. And Keith Ewan in trouble. He's going to stop just before the line. See Barry Sheen just going to left-hand of 30s. There goes Wes Cooley. Aldana still circulating, but Keith Ewan has stopped just before the finishing line.
Well, Keith didn't look happy from the word go in this 6th and final leg. He was loitering around the tail end of the field and circulating off fences to just pull in later on to collect points. But this is not hanging about at all. It's still Haslam, Marshall, Roberts and Graham Wood. Honda, Yamaha. Well, a beautiful sight it is as they go down through the dip. Then there's a good battle behind, and Mark Sell has been passed by Randy Mamola, and it's Eddie Lawson that's going to come in for the peanut kid treatment as they go away over the brow of the hill and out of our sight. So it looks as if Mamola now is shaping confidently to move up into 5th position. Well, you may well say he doesn't need to do that. That's one of his fellow countrymen in front. But once he gets past Lawson, he can then get it down to Graham Wood.
Well, all riders, attention as they come onto the Brabham Straight, led by Ron Haslam, Roger Marshall second, and it's Graham Wood dicing with Kenny Roberts for 3rd place. And Eddie Lawson, Randy Mamola and Mark Sal come through, followed by Barry Sheen. Barry's just a little bit out of the hunt from that trio now, and Graham Wood trying up the inside. Does he do it this time? It's Haslam first. Marshall shows second. Yes, Graham Wood up into 3rd place. Graham Wood has overtaken the triple world champion Kenny Roberts. And as they come down, yes, Haslam takes the wide line. Marshall takes the inside line as they come onto the Cooper Straight. Wood 3rd with Kenny Roberts running in 4th spot now. And it's Marshall still close up there with Ron Haslam as they go around 30. Then we have Ed Lawson, Randy Mamola and Mark Sal in very close company indeed. And Barry seems to have caught up a little bit on that trio as they go out to the far side of 30. Where's Cooley the next man through?
I certainly think that Roger Marshall can feel satisfied with his efforts this 1983 Transatlantic weekend. 2 fourths, 2 thirds and a 2nd. And he's in with a shout in this one. He's right on the rear wheel of Ron Haslam. Haslam, Marshall, Graham Wood, and Kenny looks as if he's going to let them go. Well, whether he can do anything about it remains to be seen, but there's a man in there who may just be able to do something about it, and he's got race distance on his side. We refer, of course, to Randy Mamola, Lawson, Mamola, Mark Sal, then Bazza with the gold wet oversuit, the green, fluorescent green oversuit of Wes Cooley. And still circulating is number 40, Dave Aldana.
And could I give a quick call to Robin Saw of Motorcycle News? Would you please go to race control below the commentary box, please. Robin Saw to race control 1 from stage 1. Thank you. As we leave us here, and it's Haslam from Marshall still with Graham Wood. A good 3rd in this one. Next place. qualifying the series. Then we have the American captain Kenny Roberts, followed by Ed Lawson, Randy Mamola and Mark Sowell. Barry Sheen has dropped a little distance away now. And the leader's now on lap 6, and the leader at the Druid's turn, and it's Ron Haslam from Marshall second. Graham Wood in third place, and again right round the outside goes Ron Haslam, finding the dry line. Ron Haslam first, Roger Marshall second, Graham Wood third, Kenny Roberts fourth, fifth is Lawson, sixth is Mamola, sixth now is Mark Sowell, who moved ahead of Randy Mamola. Nice move there from Mark Sowell, who took the place from Randy Mamola. He took the inside line at the bottom bend and took the place from Randy Mamola. Barry Sheen was the next man through, followed by Wes Cooley.
Yes, I suspect that Mark Sell and indeed his wife Sharon will remember his debut for quite some time ahead, and he can feel proud of his efforts as well, Mark Sell, this past year. Haslam, Marshall, Graham Wood, then Ken Roberts, but we look to this trio now because that really is tight and close, and Mark Sell split the Yanks. Mark Sell is in between the two of them, Lawson, Sell and Randy Mamola. The Works Yamaha, the Works Suzuki, the private Suzuki has split the two of them, and there goes Barry, and the flashlight indicating that Barry is still a big favourite with the crowd. We've had a number of Barry Sheen fans out here with their flags every time he gets the encouragement.
And here come the race leaders onto the Brabham straight then, and it's Ron Haslam, still from Roger Marshall, looking for his fourth win in a row then for Ron Haslam. Graham Wood still third, fourth is Roberts. Coming on the Brabham straight now, in fifth place is Lawson, challenged by Mark Sowell. Does Mark get by at the end of the straight? They drop Randy Mamola in the process, then Lawson has the better line and approach. Cuts across the apex, shot on top of Paddock Hill, leads Mark Sowell down the hill. Does Mark try up the inside this time? On braking, he may do it. No, but Lawson's got the braking ability there, and Ron Haslam, Roger Marshall, Graham Wood, Kenny Roberts on the Cooper straight still. And so near one there for Ron Haslam, under power as the back stepped out. And Mark Sowell also in a spot of bother there. It's certainly wet and tricky, and Lawson finds that he can't apply all the power too on the Cooper straight because he has to fight an errant Yamaha around there too. And Randy Mamola right up there with Mark Sowell as they go out of our sight. Barry Sheen the next man through, followed by Wes Cooley, and Dave O'Donnell was still circulating as well.
And Marshall is straining at the leash. He got a vicious snake on with the rear end of the Honda as he exited from Hawthorne Bend on that occasion. It's still Haslam though from Marshall. Graham Wood, he's decided that he's going to settle for a safe third place in this one, I would guess. There's Ken Roberts holding fourth position. Now the trio. Lawson, Mamola, and then Mark Sell. So they're chopping and changing, and as they do so, the Yanks, of course, pull an extra point back and steal one from us, with Mamola getting up ahead of Mark Sell. And there goes Barry Sheen. Here's Wes Cooley. I suppose, Eddie, you like I feel for Dave Aldana. He's had a weekend of trouble, and one thing is for sure, we have not this weekend seen the best and the ability of Dave Aldana.
I bet he won't be next to the Roberta Clinton this time too. There goes Haslam then in the lead from Roger Marshall, with Graham Wood still running in third place. Fourth is Kenny Roberts still, and then seventh lap complete now. And then we've Eddie Lawson, Randy Mamola and Mark Sowell through. Randy Mamola gets ahead of Lawson, does he? Yes, he does indeed at the end of the Brabham straight. So determined style now. Mamola moves away from that pair behind him as we see race leader Ron Haslam come onto the Cooper straight, followed by Roger Marshall. Marshall was who had the moment last time round, necessitating putting his foot down on the circuit. Haslam it was, put his foot down in a wild slide, but he held it nicely. So the first ball through then is Mamola, and Mark Sowell again. He's really defying all adhesion here because the bike's sliding wildly, but he keeps the power screwed on along the Cooper straight to stay ahead of Eddie Lawson.
Well, Dave Aldana in imminent danger of being lapped by the dynamic duo, numbers 9 and 11. 6 Honda cylinders pumping away. Haslam, Marshall, Graham Wood, and if anything this time, Ken Roberts is beginning to close on Graham Wood. Well, Ken Roberts, the American captain, is he going to make a determined effort in these closing laps? Here's Momola. He's broken clear of both Mark Sal and Eddie Lawson. Momola, Mark Sal, Eddie Lawson, and Bazza is beginning to close on Eddie Lawson. For sure, Barry can see the rider in front of him, and he can see that he is getting closer with each and every yard as they come down towards the start. There's West Cooley coming through the start. Lap number 8.
Yes, the race leader just passing the back marker, Dave Aldana, and yes, it was Marshall in front by a whisker from Ron Haslam. Marshall leads this time down Paddock Hill. From Ron Haslam, Graham Wood is third. Kenny Roberts still running fourth. Marshall still leads Haslam as they go up to it. And then Manny Momola comes through, followed by Mark Sowell and Eddie Lawson. And then just some distance away is Barry Sheep. So then with the leaders on lap 9, the race leader now is Roger Marshall from Ron Haslam. They're certainly more cautious in that damp area on the Cooper Straight. In third place, Graham Wood. In fourth place, Kenny Roberts. Currently running in fifth spot is Randy Momola. In sixth place, Mark Sal. In seventh place, Eddie Lawson. In eighth place, Barry Sheen. And that would put Wes Cooley into ninth place.
Well, the Rockets back in front. Whether it was the speed of the Works NS over the over-the-counter Honda Britain RS of Roger Marshall on the back straightaway, we don't know, but certainly it's the White Tornado back in front of Marshall. And yes, Ken Roberts continuing to gain upon Graham Wood. That's third and fourth. There's Dave Aldana, 1 lap in arrears now of the leading 4. Momola, well, he'll be happy. The pit signals will tell him that he'll have sort of like 2-3 seconds advantage, possibly more now, 4 seconds advantage over his nearest adversary, who is Mark Sal. Lawson is the next rider up, then number 7, Barry Sheen, and again he gets away from the encouragement from a whole bunch of spectators up down there in the different people down.
And the two race leaders come on to the Brothers Straight again, and it's Haslam from Marshall, and that's 9 laps completed. Graham Wood through in third spot, Kenny Roberts in fourth. Next man to go is Randy Momola, 6th Mark Sal, and in 7th spot still Eddie Lawson. 8th place Barry Sheen. And Haslam once again takes the wide line right around the outside of Graham Hill Bend. Leave it, and they go into left-hander 30s. Graham Wood third, fourth is Roberts. Randy Momola still running in 5th place, and Mark Sal almost parted company there. He certainly has got a tyre problem with the rear end, because every time he squirts the power on, the bike steps out sideways.
Tenth time of asking, Haslam, Marshall. Graham Wood. Well, Graham this time must have been given the go faster signal, because he's extending that, which was a diminishing advantage over Ken Roberts. He stretched that back up again to a safe, respectable buffer between himself and Ken Roberts. And here's number 6, Randy Momola. Now, behind Randy Momola, number 4, Mark Sal, still unable to shake off the close attentions of the Marlboro Yamaha rider, Eddie Lawson. Bazza has lapped his best man, or best man has lapped the man who was best man fourth. Follow that, Dave Aldana. Either way, it's not like David. And here's Wes Cooley. So, that is 11 riders circulating.
And there goes the race leaders, Ron Haslam and Roger Marshall, followed by Graham Wood, and here comes our 4th place man, Kenny. I don't know whether Ron Haslam played or not, but I can show you Steve Davis has just become the new assistant champion. Randy Momola goes through, followed by Mark Sowell and Ed Lawson. And once again, this is rather odd line for the two race leaders. They certainly don't want to know anything about that inside patch as they come down to the bottom of the hill onto the Cooper Straight. but Graham Wood doesn't mind. He goes straight on the normal racing line, whereas Kenny Roberts also comes around the outside. Kenny running in 4th place. Randy Mamola 5th, 6th is Mark Sal, 7th is Ed Lawson still. These boys now on the Cooper Straight, followed by 8th place man Barry Sheen.
And into the closing twilight laps of the 1983 Marlborough Transatlantic Series. And yes, the partisan Brits here give encouragement, wave the Union Jack to Ron Haslam and Roger Marshall. Graham Wood, and what a fine ride Graham Wood. Well, he's had his best ride of the series here in this final outing. A 5th, a retirement, a 7th, an 8th, and a 10th non-scoring. And now he's going to score in this one. There's Ken Roberts, number 2. Mamola. What about behind? Lawson and Sal. And Lawson's passed Mark Sal. Eddie Lawson has got past Mark Sal. The big Yamaha has used its speed advantage over the prime Indonesia Mark Sal. There's very number 7 going through. And Wes Cooley now is the final rider to point to poor old Dave Aldana. What an unhappy figure. Dave Aldana lapped now by all the field as they come in to complete lap number 11, leaving 2 to go.
Yes, 2 more then for the race leaders. And the first 3 riders through is still Haslam, Marshall and Graham Wood, so 3 British boys in the first 3 places, obviously improving our score. And the American boys, Kenny Roberts is trying to make it through 4th place, with his teammate Randy Mamola following through 5th. And then we've got Ed Lawson and Mark Sal, they're riding in close company still. Barry Sheen goes through in 8th place. And Mark Sal could still steal that place from Ed Lawson. Just watching Roberts on the Cooper Straight, followed by Randy Mamola, and Lawson and Mark Sal nearly have a coming together there. And Mark Sal has got the inside line. No, Lawson gets round him, and Mark Sal could cut back across. Certainly that looks as though there's going to be a change in position. That's where it's going to take place between Ed Lawson and Mark Sal in the closing stages.
The leading trio are through, and it looks as if this time that Rocket Ron has turned the afterburners on with the Works Honda, because he's opened up 40 yards advantage now over Roger Marshall. Ken Roberts being closed upon by Randy Mamola, and I would suspect that Randy won't make a determined challenge to pass his team captain on the closing lap. And Ed Lawson and Mark Sal still locked in combat. Here comes number 7, Barry Sheen. So they'll be coming through then to the lap number 12, the final lap of the 1983 Marlborough Transatlantic Trophy about to commence. So how's about it all the way around the circuit, ladies and gentlemen? Let's have a cheer, a wave of your programs, encourage the guys that have been fighting it out over this weekend. Let's see you say your cheerios and farewells to these boys that now move on to the Continental Grand Prix Circuit.
Yeah, Ron Haslam comes through in the lead. He's just lapped in 1 minute 49.6. A little bit quicker in the wet than on the previous race. And Marshall put his hand up. Marshall's in trouble. Marshall put his hand up as he came round through his turn. This leaves Haslam on his own. What is the problem with the Honda of Roger Marshall? He goes to 500. He's looking down into the fairing. Got his hand up, it looks as though he's on a dead stick. Graham Wood goes through into 2nd place. Well, real drama then in the closing set. No, he's fired up again, he's boating on. Roger Marshall's boating on in 3rd place. Yes, he goes around the left-hander surtees. Still running in 4th place is Mamola. 5th is Kenny Roberts. In 6th place is Mark Sal, or is it? Mark Sal, or is it Eddie Lawson? It could be either one of them. It's Eddie Lawson's 6th at the moment.
Well, the Rocket has less than half a lap to go now. He's through and heading in toward home. Here's Graham Wood looking for 11 points as the 2nd finisher and the 2nd Brit. 12 points it'll be to Haslam, 11 points to Graham Wood. Is it Marshall? Yes, it is. Well, he's slower, it's noticeably slower, it's got to be said, and he could well be caught. He will be caught by number 6 Randy Mamola, I'll guess yes, and in fact he waves Randy Mamola by him on the dive down towards Ingledale, and he's put them in 3 or 4 places, 4 on the run in towards the line, Eddie.
Well, that's the real upset then, as Ron Haslam takes the checkered flag to give him 4 wins in a row. 4 wins for One Haslam, 2 yesterday and 2 today on the NS 500. And into second place then, his best result in the series for Graham Wood, who finishes in second place. Keith Ewan pushes the Suzuki over the line, qualifying. Maiden now stuck in. Randy Malola is next to finish, followed by Kenny Roberts. And then it's Ed Lawson by a length or two from Mark Sowell. Roger Marshall just finishes now, behind that pairing, so he's really dropped down to place 2. Then the next rider to finish will be Barry Sheen. So Roger Marshall finally finished in 7th place. In 8th place Barry Sheen, in 9th place Wes Cooley. Well, there'll be a little bit of a break now until we get the presentation lined up on the start and finish. So we'll quickly count up the points, but definitely it looks as though, well, obviously the British boys have won, and we'll reconcile. Very slippery right here, so we were going real high. I follow Ron through here along the short circuit, following the Range Rover, and I think they were very wise words there from Randy Mamola, who said at least his 2 wins at Alton Park stopped Ron from taking the £20,000.
Now they're finishing us out of last. $20.
Well, we've got Mike Baldwin here with us. Mike, you've had the best of weekends. We recall that you were a top point scorer in a previous season. But do you know what happened to you at Knickerbrook, which put you adrift there in that first race?
Yes, I think possibly I might have wanted to be in first place on the first lap and win the race a little bit sooner, but some of those kind of things could happen. I have no excuses to provide, and I don't think the team has any excuses. This British team rode brilliantly and they beat us, but we're not the losers, we're just the runners-up like Kenny said. So,
Well, at least our boys, as you can see, we're nearly